Chris Sutton is seriously offended by Cerny and the magic water bottle, but before we even get to that, he's seriously offended by Rangers' celebrations at Celtic Park. Welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into some quotes here for Chris Sutton, and I quote, Rangers might not do walking away, but they certainly do getting carried away. You'd be forgiven for thinking they'd won the Champions League at Celtic Park on Sunday given the way they celebrated. Don't get me wrong, Rangers deserved to win. It was an impressive display, especially on the back of getting through to Europa League last day against Fenerbahce. But come off it, they walked off the pitch, still 13 points behind Celtic in the Premiership. If we did that under Martin O'Neill, he'd have us straight up the tunnel and doing laps around Barrowfield all week. To be given it the big one in front of their supporters on Sunday with some brass neck, it was only a few weeks ago the same fans were baying for blood. End of quote. Here, football's a results-based business, right? And how shite would it have been if Igamani scores and the team don't celebrate? They just walk back to the semicircle and, the Rangers fans just sit there in pure silence. Of course that's not what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I don't think fans should ever be getting buried for being passionate, especially in a derby. You know what I mean? Now, I think there has been a few times this season, like when Rangers beat St Johnstone 2-0 in the last 16 of the Cup. To me, that's a bit mental. I would never be doing that in a month of Sundays. But in a derby game, all bets are off. You know what I mean? First win there in 5 years. So, Sutton, ain't you completely wrong, mate? You know what I mean? Regardless of how many games of these you win in a row or how many you don't, Celtic would have look at Celtic when they made it 2-1. Look at Celtic when they made it 2 each. Why are they celebrating Sutton? They're 13 points clear, 16 points clear as it went 2 each. Why are they celebrating? The league's done. It's a passionate game. You know what I mean? He just looks for any reason to bury Rangers. You know what I mean? Honestly, Sutton, he's a fud. And then he talked about Cerny, alright? And he talked about Cerny, and I quote, look up Cerny, squirting Celtic fans with his water bottle. That was just silly. Look, it's only water, but Rangers and Celtic players were warned going into these games not to incite the crowd. There was just no need for it. It justified all kinds of trouble, even if that is no real excuse for bad behaviour in the stands. We're trying to get back to having away fans regularly involved in this fixture, as it does add to the occasion, but we're repeatedly seeing incidents of missiles being thrown, fireworks and flare going off, and others carrying on. We don't need players adding to the mayhem. The game sells itself. Sunday was a sensational football match, and it would have been added Feuer's captivated all over the world. It pretty much always is. We don't need any more nonsense. End of quote. Right. Ridiculous, this. Because, A, it was water, right? Water does not hurt anyone. I'm not buying people being allergic to water and invading their safe space. And what if it was citrus? People are allergic to citrus. It's an absolute joke. Look when Rangers scored the third goal, right, to make it 3-2. The amount of bottles. Now, I don't know if they were glass. I don't know if they were plastic, right? Quite frankly, it's still an object, isn't it? That were flung at the Rangers players celebrating in front of the away fans was a joke. No one's even fucking remotely calling that out. What's going to hurt more, folks? A glass bottle to the skull or a bit of water on you? You know what I mean? No, like seriously. Come on. You know what I mean? And I get it. See Cerny doing this. Does that provoke the Celtic? Of course it did. Look at the reaction. They were punching the away dugout. Should Cerny have done this in hindsight? Probably not. But let's not pretend here. I mean, people are making out that he whipped out a rocket launcher and he started firing into each stand in Celtic Park. They need to take a deep breath. You know what I mean? Need to take a deep breath here. You know what I mean? And see the people that were throwing bottles down it when Igamani scored. It wasn't because of Cerny. You know what I mean? That was way down at the away end. They were throwing bottles because Rangers scored and they were fucking raging. You know what I mean? So according to Sutton, you can't do anything that provokes Celtic fans. Obviously, Rangers celebrating in their backyard provokes Celtic fans. You know what I mean? I just don't get this logic for Sutton. I mean, look at the way McCoist talking about it. That's the way you do it. No, obviously, if it was flipped, you'd be like, oh, it's fucking shite. Dirty bastards sucking the fans, but it's just a bit of banter at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Come on. Reel it in, Sutton fucking greeting for no reason. If this was flipped, he'd be loving this. You know what I mean? He'd be celebrating like Celtic had won the Champions League. If fucking Dyson Maida was running up the touchline soaking people with a water bottle. That's just the way it goes, unfortunately. But yeah, Cerny, done nothing wrong in my book. Alright? Bit of banter, man. And this police investigation that Celtic have kind of, hinted towards is just, oh, it's pathetic. Seriously, pathetic.